Even though Donald Trump got what he wanted today by being able to throw a PR party for the most unpopular bill in history on the 4th of July, he got all that he wanted. He was still furious. Maybe it's because he understands how unpopular his bill is. Actually, he made it very clear that he understands that. But it also could be because he was the subject of some mockery from the person who gets under his skin the most, not just about his ugly bill, but about his ugly presidency. That was Barack Obama, and we are going to get into what he had to post. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button, because it goes a long way in supporting independent media like this channel. Now, before we can get into Trump's meltdown and what Obama had to say, I want to start with the breaking news of how unpopular this bill is, and we got that from Chris Hayes right here.
Well, it's only been a law for a few minutes now, a few dozen minutes, an hour, 2 hours, something like that. But here's something we already know about Donald Trump's big reconciliation bill. It is one of the most unpopular acts of Congress in recent history. This is not hyperbole, and this is me not just, articulating my hunches. That is according to data gathered by Georgetown political scientist Christopher Warshaw. Warshaw found that Trump's big, beautiful bill is the second most unpopular piece of legislation of any kind in Congress since 1990. You can see there that the only bill that was more unpopular than Trump's attempted repeal of Obamacare back in 2017, which also would have slashed Medicaid and cut taxes on high earners. That, of course, failed. The bill that Trump has just signed into law today is less popular than Republicans' previous tax cuts for rich folks. Less popular even than the 2008 bank bailout, which is actually genuinely shocking to me, or the Affordable Care Act when they were passed. Also kind of surprising. I gotta think that's not great news for Republicans. And the thing about it is, it's not just because people don't know what's in it. The deeper you dive into the polling and people who know what's in it, the worse it gets. How do we do apples to apples comparisons of popularity of legislation over time?
Hey, Chris, thanks for having me. Happy 4th. Auspicious occasion for talking about this. The way we do this is just by compiling the polling data, right? I mean, the polls are the same, roughly speaking, in methodology over time. I mean, if we have a bill that is, as that chart shows, 23 points underwater today, and there's another bill that's like 30 points underwater historically, the way that we can attach meaning to that is by looking at what happened after Congress or a president passed something really unpopular. So if we go back to those examples, right, after 2017, when the GOP tries to pass a historic, at that point, rollback of Medicaid and passage of tax cuts, you get the 2018 wave election, right? After 2009, when the ACA passed, so that also was unpopular at the time. It's popular now, but at the time it's very unpopular. You get the 2010 wave against the Democrats. So look, these polls aren't happening in isolation, right? When we say something is 23 points unpopular, there are some stakes attached to that, and the historical examples bear that out.
The reason why Donald Trump forced such an ugly bill through Congress as quickly as he did is, of course, because he's happy to push an ugly bill through Congress as long as it's serving him, it's serving special interests, it's serving billionaires, giant corporations. Those are all of the things that Donald Trump likes, as he boots millions of people off their health care, sees hospitals across the country closed. People won't be able to access SNAP benefits. Kids are going hungry because of Donald Trump. He doesn't really care about any of that, but he does care that his bill is unpopular, which is why he said this during his meltdown of a speech at the White House.
And that's why when you hear things like that, this is the most it's the biggest bill of its kind ever done by far. But we are going to have a situation, we are going to have something where people are going to realize the level of success and popularity of this bill, and sort of.
He was so close, wasn't he, to saying this is the most popular bill. He said it's the biggest, which, considering that Republicans pretend that they're fiscal conservatives, I don't know how that's a big win that he's super psyched about. But even Trump knows that this bill isn't popular. Trump knows that he is underwater in every single one of his major positions, all of them. Even immigration, which he said was the thing that got him elected. He knows that. He knows that the dictator he promised to be and has acted like is something that is incredibly unpopular, which is probably why this post from Barack Obama has gotten under his skin. Obama trolls Trump an Independence Day message. Former President Barack Obama threw shade at Donald Trump after he made America's birthday all about himself. On the eve of Independence Day, a buoyant Trump was giddy with excitement as he worked the crowd at a rally in Des Moines, Iowa. The event was intended to be a bipartisan celebration of America's 250th anniversary. However, soon it devolved, of course, into the Trump show. He ranted about hating Democrats, used an anti-Semitic term, and rolled off his recent achievements. Trump was buoyant after Congress narrowly passed his big ugly bill. This has been a great 2 weeks, he added. Has anyone ever had a better 2 weeks? Obama was keen to remind people that the USA is not a one-man show, though, writing, Independence Day is a reminder that America is not the project of any one person. The single most powerful word in our democracy is we the people. We shall overcome. Yes, we can. America is owned by no one. It belongs to all citizens, he said. Obama continued, and at this moment in history, when core democratic principles seem to be continuously under attack, when too many people around the world who have become cynical and disengaged, now is precisely the time to ask ourselves tough questions about how we can build our democracies and make them work in meaningful and particular ways for ordinary people. Obama's post comes after Obama and former President George W. Bush joined forces to shoot down Trump's colossal mistake to shutter USAID. In a video message to staffers on Monday, the day before USAID was folded into the State Department, the two former presidents decried Trump's dismantling of the agency. Gutting USAID is a travesty, and it's a tragedy, Obama said. Bush was even more pointed, slamming cuts to the president's emergency plans for AIDS relief, with USAID as tasked with implementing. Is it our national interest that 25 million people who have died now live? I think it is, and so do you, Bush said. President Obama's comments also come during a time in which we see protest against Donald Trump across the country, which I think is the most patriotic thing you can be doing on this Independence Day, standing up to a wannabe king, rather than doing what Lindsey Graham is doing, which is what he always does. Tim Miller said it last week. It's washing Trump's balls, and we can take a look right here.
Mr. President, Mr. President, Trump, Mr. President, thumbs up. Okay, thumbs up.
Really? A thumbs up, Mr. President. Hey, Mr. President, can we get a thumbs up? What a loser. What a loser Lindsey Graham is. How pathetic is that? Groveling at the feet of Donald Trump, passing his bill after you got a t-shirt and a signed hat to win you over and throw your constituents off their health care in South Carolina, deprive them of FEMA funding, close down rural hospitals, ignore failing infrastructure. Lindsey Graham is pathetic and a joke. Somehow he's the most embarrassing person from his state in a week in which Nancy Mace was walking through Congress in PJs, down in 2 Red Bulls at a time. What? Her IHOP, or it wasn't IHOP, it was her Waffle House order. That was fine, though. I like peppers in my eggs. I think peppers and eggs is fine. Other than that, Nancy Mace is a mess. But what's really important, of course, is this bill, which is a complete tragedy, although Republicans will try to lie about that, like we saw Scott Jennings get called out for right here.
This legislation takes health care from 17 million people.
No.
17 million people will have fewer people will have health care after this. $1 trillion from Medicaid in order to pay for tax cuts for the wealthiest Americans. You could actually just do the middle class tax cuts and not the tax cuts for billionaires, and just not do the Medicaid tax cuts and Medicaid cuts.
You know what?
And people would have agreed with that. That would have been 60-70%.
We're never going to agree to give.
We're
Never going to agree to give Medicaid to illegal aliens. And we're never going to agree to let people sit at home, able-bodied people.
You don't have to take Mira's word on that. Take Josh Hawley's word on it.
Exactly.
I mean,
Josh
but he
yes,
said
while
it was a
apologizing
tax
to his
on- yes.
constituents. Take Lisa Murkowski's word
Also
on
voted
it.
for it.
Okay, who
Or
apologized
And
to
you
the
know what?
American
And
people for voting for
Scott,
it. Because it's terrible legislation.
whenever you bring up the able-bodied folks and undocumented immigrants, we're only getting to like 6 million. So you have like a whole other
There's
6
also
million.
people who are duplicative, they're on in multiple
according to
states, and there are
different,
also
depending
people
on the
who are
estimates.
ineligible for other
I'm just saying, there are millions and millions of other people that you're not accounting for, and those people are going to be affected.
Children are going to lose coverage.
They are going to be affected. So I think some of this is about honesty in advertising here with what's going on.
I don't think she
Capitol
should
Hill.
be dishonest about it.
What's going on Capitol
You're
Hill,
right
and
about it.
if the Medicaid cuts are the price that Americans have to pay for tax cuts for everybody, including very wealthy people, then that should be what Republicans run on proudly. Okay?
There is no world in which you can spin Donald Trump's cuts to Medicaid unless you're a liar like Republicans are. But what they'll try to say is, one, of course, these Medicaid cuts don't kick in immediately. It's part of the reason Josh Hawley felt fine passing them, because it kicks the can down the road, and he doesn't have to worry about what it does to re-election chances, or at least for the midterms coming up. Republicans don't have to worry, and probably they'll end up blaming Joe Biden 10 years from now. I don't know. That's how they like to rewrite history. But what's part of this process of kicking people off Medicaid is straight up just giving them more paperwork, making it more difficult to get health care coverage. The efficiency people, ladies and gentlemen, want to give you more paperwork. The small government conservatives want to make you sign and fill out more documents, more convoluted and confusing documents with information that doesn't make sense, can't be obtained, or is misunderstood very commonly as a practice to deprive people of life-saving health care. That's embarrassing. It's gross, but it's also embarrassing. It's stupid. Sorry for the simple language, but it's how I feel. I think someone who probably had a better way to wrap that up, though, was AOC right here.
I think this is one of the saddest days in modern American history. This is the largest withdrawal and ending of health care in American history. 17 million people in our country, 17 million Americans in our country are going to lose their Medicaid. They're going to lose their ACA insurance. Small business owners are going to have their health care costs skyrocket, and people are going to have their SNAP and WIC cut back. People are going to go hungry. People are going to get sick on a scale unlike anything we've ever seen. And all of it is just to finance tax cuts for billionaires and the wealthiest corporations who don't even need it.
This is the single worst piece of legislation ever passed in the modern era. And now that it has been passed and that it's been signed and it'll be celebrated by these cynical Republicans, it is now our turn to message against it. We're going to be doing that on this show. If you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.